And so I just encourage you to really think about your goals with your personal brand. Do you spend time with it? Is it the last thing on your list? And ask yourself, what would be possible if I took a little time on my personal brand? Hello and welcome to the Unlock Lab. I'm so glad you're here. I'm your host, Tosca DiMatteo. And today we're going to talk about how to update your personal brand. Now, I have done a personal branding series before on this platform, so definitely check that out too if you love what you're hearing today. But I'm talking about this again because I'm sharing with you the perspective from actually having gone through an up level and an upgrade myself on my personal brand. So, in part, I want to celebrate with you my journey. And secondly, and most importantly, I want to share with you some tips and tricks and ways of thinking about it that will help you on your journey. Whether you are an entrepreneur yourself or you work for an organization, we all need to manage our personal brand today. And I'll talk about why a little bit later. But before I jump into the deep end of this awesome topic that is near and dear to my heart, if you are new to the podcast, let me just say welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Tosca DiMatteo, and I'm the founder of Tosca Coaching and Consulting. I do work at the intersection of personal growth and professional breakthroughs. So whether I'm standing on stages, inspiring audiences, or working one-on-one with you, or anything in between, the work I do is to help you unlock something in your career and in your life so you can break through and reach all new growth trajectories. To learn more, visit CoachTosca.com. That's Coach TOSCA.com. All right. Let me tell you, I wrote a whole lot of notes before jumping on here. And I usually write some notes, but today I was really going at it because I want this to be really useful for you because I really feel deeply passionate about you managing your personal brand in an even bigger and better way than you're doing it right now. I think there's always room to grow with our personal brands because they're not static. And today I'm going to talk to you about my process for upgrading my personal brand. And I'm hoping you use it as food for thought, whether you work internally in a company or have your own business. If you haven't figured it out already, then let me be the one to give you this news. In today's world, everyone has to be a marketer of their own personal brand. We have to manage our reputations, our messaging, and our narrative so that we can continue to evolve and land the opportunities that light us up as our own desires and skill sets evolve constantly. Now, even if you're at the stage of sunsetting your career and moving on into a retirement or into legacy work, this advice still holds true. Because again, if we're not managing our own narrative and our brand, somebody else is. All right. So, as I mentioned, I've been in the thick of this work myself for quite some time, probably longer than I want to admit, but I'll get to that later. But I'm hoping that what this episode does for you is help you feel validated on your journey. I hope it inspires you to pick up the torch on your own personal brand and pursue some up leveling for your brand. I hope you get curious about what's possible for your career by taking yourself more seriously, by being more confident in what you offer and who you are as a brand. And if you're listening as a business owner, then I hope this inspires you to perhaps think a little bit differently about your business brand. You can insert business or personal brand with so much of this. But of course, with a personal brand, it gets a little bit more complex in terms of we as people are so dynamic and multidimensional. And also, we have such emotion tied to our own brand more so than anything else, I think. So I just want to jump in right now and share with you a little bit about the evolution of the current up level that I'm launching right now on my business. Now, I think I've said already that brands aren't static and we're constantly evolving it. And that is definitely the case for me. I'm always making updates to things, whether it's my bio, whether it's my descriptions on my social channels, like you name it. There is always something that I'm updating. It was about a year ago that I was wondering if my messaging was working as hard for me as it possibly could. I started to feel like I was sounding like everybody else in the marketplace. I didn't know if I was differentiating myself enough. I just wasn't sure. And part of that, if I'm quite frank, is the business results weren't exactly what I was hoping for, right? And so I was like, well, what do I need to look at to see what I need to change or do differently to get different results? So that's one big piece. The other piece was I had been a few years into my speaking career and that whole new offering that I have. And so I knew I needed to start thinking more deeply about, well, as a speaker, what is my messaging and what is it I want the world to know about what I talk about? And then the other piece that was going on was I knew that it was coming time to update my photos. Like that was on my list of like things to do for 2024. I really wanted to do a photo shoot in 2024. And the last piece that was at the forefront of my mind about a year ago was that I wanted to have a new logo created for the Unlock Lab. I had been using the logo that an intern created for me way back when the Unlock Lab was only in person facilitated conversations. And so the brand had evolved, and I definitely wanted it to look more professional and more serious. And, I launched the podcast with the intern logo because my focus was just get started, just get it out there. It's not about being perfect, it's about doing the damn thing. And that's what I would say to you about your personal brand. Look, it's never going to be perfect, it's never going to be exact and precise, and it's never going to be done. So, what's most important is that you just do something about it, you know? So, these were all the things. So, I started with, okay, let me get my logo for my podcast. And that was a process of finding the right person. And then, of course, things take way longer than you think because when you're hiring freelancers or you're hiring small businesses, right? Like things tend to not happen fast because there's fewer resources all around. The other thing that I started embarking upon last year, as I mentioned, was looking at new ways of talking about what I do. So I worked with a copywriter for a little while and started to see what else is possible for how I talk about myself. Was there opportunity? And that really taught me a few things. It taught me that, you know what, I wasn't so far off the mark, but it also taught me, yeah, sure, there's some improvement that can be had here. So all of this was happening, in that kind of April through August timeframe. September and October, I was really busy with keynote preparation stuff. And then as soon as that was done, I got word that my website was a bit unstable on the back end. On the one hand, I was like, oh, are you kidding me? This is so frustrating. And on the other hand, I knew I needed some changes to the website to reflect my speaker offerings and all that stuff. So I really, to be honest, it was a hard decision to make for me in terms of how do I approach the website? Do I do something quick and dirty? Do I do a major rebrand? Do I hire somebody that's just less expensive so that later on I can invest a bigger amount on like bigger changes and maybe hire experts that were really, really familiar with the spaces that I'm in now? It ran the gambit, right? And I had a little bit of, I don't want to say analysis paralysis, but it was hard to trust myself. It was hard to know what the right thing is to do. And that's because there is no right thing. You make the best decision you can at the time. And, that's what I want to offer to you. Trust yourself. Trust yourself and keep taking those little micro steps in the direction that you want to take your brand. And that's essentially what I did. I came to decisions bit by bit. And the initial decision that I made was let me do something quick and dirty where I can get my website on a new platform, just like completely newly created. But I'm not going to do this whole big rebranding thing. I'm just going to, get it working well and add the pages that I need to add. And then I'll also do a new photo shoot and get it looking a little bit better than where it is right now. Now, what ended up happening was not exactly that. It was a way bigger task than I think I figured it to be, and also that my web developer figured it to be. And so I literally started the work on the website in December. And now I'm recording this at the end of April and it's still not live yet. Right. And that's for a number of reasons, right? You've got a little bit of scope creep. I had to wait until I was really ready to do the copy work that I needed to do. There were things on the back end that we didn't anticipate being challenges, like all the things happened, right? So I think one of my biggest lessons in that journey was just giving myself grace and being patient and to not fall into the trap of forcing things that didn't need to be forced. There was nothing that was so imperative that like I had to get this new website out by X date. I absolutely had goals. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. My first goal was mid January. I mean, it's kind of laughable. And to think I used to be a project manager in my career when it came to like ad campaigns and advertising and marketing projects. Like it's kind of funny, right? But anyway, I say all this to say I hope that if you've embarked upon this yourself and you've had some of these experiences, know that it's so common. Like I know I'm not alone. But the important thing was that I just kept moving. That even when I had to take those days to step away from it because I was so frustrated, that I kept coming back. I even got to the point, when was it? February? And I was like, oh my gosh, do I just need to pull this whole plug and do something completely different? And thank gosh I had a friend that was like, oh my gosh, just keep going, just get it done. And I think, in retrospect, would I have made different decisions? Probably. But, hindsight is always 2020. One of the things that always say is we really need to get support in our own branding work because operating in a vacuum is really, really hard. So, yeah, I probably could have elicited some more support when it came to like the copywriting piece. But also at the same time, I knew that I had to do the excavation myself of what is it I want to say? What is it? How do I articulate what I offer and what I can do for people? And that took my own deep excavating. And to be honest, what's probably going to happen is this website, and it may or may not be out and launched by the time this drops. I think it will be. But probably what's going to happen is I'm going to make more edits to the copy and the messaging and probably even some of the design within a short amount of time because I know there's going to be some opportunities. So this goes back to my philosophy of like just one foot in front of the other, and it's not ever going to be perfect. It's just going to be the most courageous thing you can do in that particular moment. And the other big piece of the story that I want to tell you is a visual piece of how I represent myself was so overdue. Like I waited way too long to do a new photo shoot. My original one was in 2019. I was literally a year out of my corporate life, very early on in my business. And I wasn't 100% sure exactly where I was going with everything. And I have evolved and my business has evolved immensely since then. It got to the point with my photos that I was so sick of looking at my photos because I didn't feel great about them. First of all, I had a very short haircut back in 2019 that didn't last that long. I didn't even have somebody do my hair for the photo shoot. I didn't even have a makeup artist support me. I did it all myself. But this is also because that's where I was, right? At that time, it was like, this is what I can afford. This is what I'm comfortable with. And this is what I'm doing. So I don't regret what I did. All I'm saying is like that I could have taken some action sooner on updating my photos, before now. And I'm excited to say this time around, you know what? I learned some things. What did I do? I hired a hairdresser to blow my hair out. She came to my house. I hired a makeup artist to come to my house and do my makeup that morning as well. And I hired an incredible photographer. His name is John DiMatteo, and I have written about him on LinkedIn. And I'm sure there'll be more that I talk about in terms of that photo shoot experience. But what I knew was that I felt really good hiring not only an experienced, incredible photographer, but somebody who knew the space that I was in because he specializes in authors and coaches and speakers. That was like amazing, best decision ever. But I knew that I really needed new photos to represent the new place that my business was and me personally. Like I look at my new photos and I'm like, damn, that's me. I'm a fucking badass. I've been working so hard to build this business and to help as many people as I can. And those photos represent the value that I bring and the seriousness and the many aspects of who I am. You know, that it's not all sunshine and rainbows and smiles but it's also deep reflective sides of me and it's the complexity and it's the advocacy part of me and the we'll figure it out together. Like it's all these dimensions of not just the work that I do and the depth of that, but also who I am at my core. And that's why I love John because he gets that photos are about capturing your essence and it's not about having, every hair in place and it's not about airbrushing, all your flaws away. Like none of my photos are airbrushed. Like, and it was in such alignment with me and my belief about branding. And that's what I would encourage you to consider as you are hiring folks, as you're deciding who is on your team. It's so important to make sure that you're aligned values wise, you're aligned pricing wise, of course, and you're aligned that it's going to feel good to work with these people that you're bringing on. And I have definitely made some mistakes in my past about ignoring my intuition and just wanting to get things done and pulling the trigger too fast without being patient about really making sure that I was choosing the right folks for me. So please be patient with yourself. It takes way more time than I think we ever imagined to find the right team. And I think that goes with anything you're doing, whether it's personal branding or some other project. So I think we have these like really high expectations. Oh, I want to do this thing and I can do it tomorrow. And maybe you can. Maybe you can. And everything's possible. But just hold the possibility that also it might take longer than you think, especially if you want to do it in a way that's really, really aligned with how you like to do things. Let me take a pause from this episode really quick because I want to talk to you about the New Body Project. Are you ready to elevate your wellness game inside and out? It's Brooklyn's first and only all women's boutique fitness studio that's changing lives one class at a time. I'm definitely one of those people. Whether you're just starting out your fitness journey or wanting to level it up, they've got expert trainers, varying class types, and the kind of motivation that sticks. It's not just about looking good. More so, it's about feeling unstoppable and doing it around a group of like-minded women who want to connect with you. To learn more about this dope all-women's community and take one of their amazing strength boot camps or specialty classes, you can visit thenewbodyproject.com. That's thenewbodyproject.com. Use the code Tosca to unlock a free week of unlimited classes with a purchase of your trial class and consultation. Like I said, I'm a member myself, and it has definitely changed the game in my fitness routine. Check out thenewbodyproject.com. So I have all these pieces, right, of the puzzle with my branding. And I worked with different people over the course of this past year to think about things differently. I took a mastermind class. I worked with another messaging expert. I worked with a copywriter. Like there were definitely different pieces of this. And now it's just all culminating into like what I consider a reintroduction to who I am in my business because that's where I'm at with my personal branding and like what I need. I needed to up level my materials. I needed to show the world now that I'm in a whole new place. And what I would really recommend to you in your journey of personal branding is ask yourself, like, what is it that I need now? Like in 6 months from now, what does success look like by touching some pieces of my personal branding? And maybe it's you want to see yourself reflected in your photos. Maybe it's I want my messaging and my imagery to reflect the value that I bring and the positioning that I have in the marketplace. Maybe it's simply I want to have a place that people can go to learn more about me in a format that makes me happy. And maybe that's your own website because maybe you don't like the box of LinkedIn. So just consider what is it that you're looking to accomplish by picking up your brand and taking a closer look at it. I believe that it is your right to love your brand. And by that, it is your right and you deserve to love yourself and how you see yourself out in the world. And that's why I think that it is never a bad decision. In fact, it is always the best decision to invest in yourself and your brand. Now, that investment might look like this personal branding, marketing materials. It may also be investing in growth work. It may be investing in your own education. It could mean investing in your own healing journey, but there is no better investment than you putting the next best version of you out into the world. And here's the thing that I say this all the time, but I'm going to say it again, which is that it's best to invest before you feel ready. Because if we wait till we have all the money in the bank account that we want to have before we spend it, we're probably going to raise the bar or we're probably going to make some other excuse about why we don't invest in our personal brand. If we wait until we figured all the things out, we're waiting too long. For example, if I waited until I had all my messaging perfectly clear before I hired a web developer or before I hired a photographer, oh my gosh, it'd be like 2 years before this stuff got out there. So I think we put these barriers in front of ourselves to say, you know, when I get all this stuff done, then I will start with XYZ. And usually the best approach is just start. And all those other things will fall into the place when they're meant to fall into place. I mentioned before that it's important to take the time to ask yourself, what is it I'm trying to accomplish? Because being clear about why you want to take the time and energy to do these things will help keep you motivated as things get challenging, as you lose your motivation or whatever. And that means asking yourself what success looks like. And that means asking yourself, what is it that I want to be different by doing this? And you can come back to that. Like I came back to that myself so many times when I was just so frustrated, when I felt like I was all alone in the process, when I didn't know what to do or I didn't know what decision to make. I always came back to why am I doing this again? Oh, right. Because I want to get on more stages and help more people with my messages. And so I need to keep going. I need to do this work. And that was really helpful. I don't want to get too in the weeds here, but another piece of advice I really want to give is know the role of the channels of marketing that you're using. That will help you make the decision about where you want to invest. So, for example, if your website is a place where you just want to have fun and express yourself, great. Know that that's the role that it plays for you. If your website is a place for lead generation, great. That will help you make decisions about what you're going to need for that website. And if your website is a place to reassure people that you're the bomb diggity and that you can do what you say you can do, and it's just validation because they've already met you or they already heard about you, great. Then you know what that job to be done is with that website. So just know the role of the channel because I think we get easily influenced by all the things that we hear about what we're supposed to do and what we need to do and what we have to do when it comes to branding. And none of that shit matters. What matters is that you know what feels good to you and what your strategy is because you think that's what's going to work for you. Trust that, go with that, and then take the next steps from there. For example, Instagram is a place where, you know what? I just love to show up on Instagram. I love to do my little stories. I love to do reels and just talk about a particular topic for a few moments. I love to share pictures of my dog. Like, I love to use it as a place where I can drop inspiration whenever I feel like it. And so I don't use it as like this. This is where I'm going to get leads for my business, or that, this is where people are going to find out about my podcast. Like, I know I don't use it in that way. And look, I hope some of those things happen. Don't get me wrong. But that gives me a really good perspective of how much time and energy should I spend there, knowing what role that plays for me, in particular on my business. All right. I think you're picking up what I'm putting down. Your personal brand is really about the long game. Even if you're listening to this and you're not looking for your next opportunity or you're not looking for your next client, personal branding is still something to be active and proactive about, because there will come a day where you will need someone to know your name. And if we wait until that day that we wish a whole bunch of people knew our name, we have waited too long. We live in a world so different from when I was coming up in the ranks, where it was just about job applications and perhaps some networking. Now the game has changed and everybody has to go about career management using everything that they got. It's not one dimensional, it's not one channel. To find opportunities, to be open to opportunities, to magnetize what you want, it requires a proactive an active stance on your personal brand. And I know not everybody finds that fun and exciting. I find it fun and exciting. I love helping people with their brands, because when we see ourselves, it makes us feel really good. I think it helps boost our confidence to say, right, that's what I do. That's who I am. That's what I believe in. That's the aesthetic that lights me up. Like, this can change, I think, how you show up in the world. And so I just encourage you to really think about your goals with your personal brand. Like, do you spend time with it? Is it the last thing on your list? And ask yourself, what would be possible if I took a little time on my personal brand? I think you might find some magic in that process of you investing in you. And I don't even mean financially, I mean you investing time into thinking about this topic more seriously, because I really believe that it's a mandatory these days, and it's not a nice to have. So, gosh, I know I could keep on going, but I'm hoping that this little insight into the process that I've been on for the past year is helpful, maybe a little inspiring, and maybe it gets you curious about yourself. And if you're like, man, this sounds great, but I don't even know where to start. I don't even know what to do. I don't even know my strategy or my why. Like, if any of this feels overwhelming to you, then I would invite you to reach out to me. I would be happy to help you figure out your next immediate step. And you can do that by scheduling an exploratory call with me on my website. You can visit coachtosca.com. That's coach, TOSCA.com. You can email me. My email is breakthrough@toscadimatteo.com. And you can find all of these things also in the show notes. So I do one-on-one work to help people in their journey. I also do master classes for organizations or companies. I do keynotes on the topic of personal branding, just to name a few of the ways that I can help you. But again, no strings attached. If you want some help to just know what that immediate next step is for you to level up your personal branding, or even just to start with your personal branding endeavor, then reach out and I will help you find some clarity on that immediate next step. No strings attached. All right, man, this was super fun. And you know what? Thank you for celebrating with me. Thank you for being with me in my sharing the journey, because, it's easy to dismiss, like, yeah, I did all this stuff. But it's been fun to sit here and say, oh my gosh, like, the past year has been a lot of work. There's been a lot of thought and time and energy put into this part of my business. And I'm excited about what will result from it because I know that by putting energy into it, I'm going to get the returns. I'm going to get the returns. And I don't know exactly how it'll come to me. I'm staying unattached to that, but I'm excited and I'm celebrating that I got through it, even though there were some really hard days and weeks and moments. And I'm thanking everybody, and you know who you are, that has been with me on the journey the past year, whether it's you were helping me do this work, whether you were cheerleading me on, whether you gave me some inspiration when I was at my low points. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for helping me and being a part of my personal brand. I really look at myself like I wear a coat of colors. Somebody a long time ago said to me, it's like I wear a quilt, and on that quilt are pieces of everybody that I've ever come in contact with. And I believe that to be true. I do. I carry in my heart the folks that I have met, the folks that have helped me and that I have helped, because it is the fabric of who I am now, every single interaction. So thank you. I hope that you love what's coming out. Whether like I said, I think the website will be out, but I hope that you enjoy the photos. I hope that you get lit up by what you read about what I do. And I hope you share it with folks that will benefit from perhaps listening to my content or engaging in the work that I do. Please share. And another way that you can do that is like, rate, and review this podcast on whatever platform you're listening on, because that's how the word gets out. And that also helps me. When I see more folks following my podcast, it lights me up, it makes me excited, and it makes me want to do some more. So thanks for being with me. I'm so glad you've come to the Unlock Lab. I will see you next time, and ciao for now.